Hi, and welcome to the Environment TV Report. I'm Charlie Olson, your host and producer, to talk about Staten Island environmental communities, concerns which we gather from you, the groups and individuals that we meet at your events. There are so many environmental happenings that it is our belief that a daily environmental news broadcast might just about cover them. While we wait for that to come about, here's what we have for you today. Let's start off with a message about our beautiful nature and wildlife photographs that we've been exhibiting since the beginning of this year. We did a special video on the launching of the 2023 calendar that contains those absolutely beautiful photos, as well as interviewing some of the photographers who were generous enough to allow us to do so. Now that group pulls all of this together. The Protectors of Pine Oak Woods is preparing the 2024 gallery. Before reviewing those 2023 pieces of artwork, let's listen to Cliff Hagen, their president, in his own words.
Hi, I'm Cliff Hagen, president of Protectors of Pine Oak Woods. Today, I'm reaching out to encourage Staten Island photographers to share their best wildlife natural area photography with Protectors of Pine Oak Woods for submission in the 2024 Staten Island Wildlife and Nature Calendar. Submissions will be accepted until June 30th. They should be sent to 2024protectors@gmail.com. Folks who are selected by a blind judging to be entered into the calendar will be notified by August 30th. Each photographer selected as entry in the calendar will receive 2 free calendars. To find out more information about the calendar and submissions, visit siprotectors.org. Thank you very much.
There were roughly over 270 submitted photos last year for the 15 or so calendar placement spots, which include the cover and being placed next to explanatory text. All of the photos are taken on Staten Island and cover any time of year, and as the name implies, show both the beauty and perspective of nature and wildlife through the artistic eyes of amateurs and professionals. We at ETV so admire their artwork that we decided to display each month's photograph as the first image of our reports, and when possible, do an interview of these artists. In this episode, we are showing these photos to help get the word out to you, the viewers, that the door is open to send in your masterpieces that you've probably been shooting since last time, or at any time during your life. Or if you know of some artwork that you've seen and admire, let that person know about this opportunity to have their work placed in a calendar that will be shared everywhere. So again, that address is 2024protectors@gmail.com. Or for more information on this, go to their website, statenislandprotectors.org. And that deadline is June 30th, 2023. And even if you miss that deadline, send it in and see what happens. There's always next year. If you want, send it to us, and maybe we'll do an interview with you. Now we go to the question of this episode. What is an urban heat island? What does it mean, and where are they? As usual, we'll tell you the answer at the end of the show. And now we're on to fun with nature. You may remember in our last episode with Blackie, who was Gabriella's cat, that Blackie was very anxious about her party because no one was showing up yet for her marvelous party. First, she was at the window, calmly watching the scenery. But then the anxiety started. No one was showing up yet, and it was going to get later and later. She started to pace back and forth at the window, back and forth and back, until she couldn't take it anymore. Where were they? And then she went to the door. She was at the door for a while, looking and looking, stretching and stretching. And then at last she saw some cat coming. The first one had arrived. She was very happy about that. And then the second, yay! This was going to be some party. As more and more arrived, she let them in and led them to the party scene. But there was an age limit. There was catnip to be had. And some of these cats were way too young for that. Besides, there wasn't enough for the crowd that was now here. So Blackie had an idea. She had Big Morris stand guard at the door to tell them that the house was full, that there was no more room. When they couldn't come in, the young'uns decided to have their own garden party. And that way, all the cats were happy. But they heard about catnip.
With the annual 5-borough bike tour to take place on Sunday, May 7th, I was inspired to take a bike ride I am calling the 1-borough bike tour on the Friday before, that borough being Staten Island. The day was cool with mixed clouds and sun and very little wind. The 5-borough tour is 40 miles, but I aimed for 25 miles, and like the 5-borough event, I made a somewhat circular loop. This tour highlights much of what Staten Island has to offer. It includes the best and worst of bicycle infrastructure, from bike boulevards to two-way cycle tracks to gravel trails. There are obstacles like flooded pathways following the heavy rains we had the past week, impassable sand, and a couple of hills. In fact, the 25 miles included 575 feet of vertical climbs. The worst parts for bicyclists are some streets without any bicycling designation, a baffling set of traffic signals as you cross 5 roads by the Staten Island Ferry. The ride passes many of the cultural and natural destinations that Staten Island has to offer, including parks, woodlands, wetlands, and beaches. 2 sections of Gateway National Recreation Area, Miller Field, a former airfield, and Fort Wadsworth, a former fort. This ride passes Snug Harbor Cultural Center, historic Richmond Town, Alice Austin House, the National Lighthouse Museum, and the Fresh Kills Landfill Turning Park. Also, 2 of my favorite bakeries for Italian bread and many scenic viewpoints to see skyline views or endless beach and ocean. You won't be disappointed. Let's ride. This has been Lenny Labrizzi reporting from Staten Island, New York.
On April 16th of this year, the Protectors of Pine Oak Woods, a well-known, nearly 50-year-old Staten Island environmental group, had, as one of its presentations, a showing of a 21-minute video, which advocated for preserving at least 6 green areas of Staten Island. Environment TV was involved in the making of this video, and we'd like to show you a portion of it, centering on one of the areas, the green area of the Serpentine Commons on the North Shore of Staten Island. Here, in their own words, is their narration.
Staten Island has lost hundreds of acres of natural landscape in recent years. Mount Manresa and Graniteville Forest are examples of 33 acres of valuable woodlands destroyed by overdevelopment projects. Some of the destroyed trees at Mount Manresa were over 400 years old. To prevent tragedies like this from happening in the future, the environmental organization Protectors of Pine Oak Woods has been proactive and organized a land preservation committee to identify important landscapes on Staten Island. Over the last 2.5 years, 100 unprotected sites of high ecological value were identified. We walked these sites with our boots on the ground through wetlands, woodlands, grasslands, hillsides, blue belts, and shorelines. We have prioritized 6 of those sites, which it is our pleasure to present to you now.
Serpentine Art and Nature Commons was organized back in the 1970s by community activists who cared about the fragile, vanishing environment in the Stapleton area. They fought and established, with the help of the Trust for Public Land, an 11-acre protected natural area along the steep wooded hillside, which provides access to a little bit of nature for area residents in need of such a natural treasure. Serpentine Art and Nature Commons is a not-for-profit organization where local volunteers maintain this property. The New York State Department of Environmental Conservation recently visited this unique natural area on the Serpentine Ridge. Much of the ridge lies below Howard Avenue and above Van Duzer Street. Despite development, Serpentine Ridge still retains some ecological connections to Silver Lake Park and Clove Lake Park. The Serpentine Ridge includes glacial sinkholes, bare serpentine rock outcroppings, rare plants, and abundant wildlife, such as hawks, owls, deer, turkey, and fox. The Serpentine Rock Formation, formed 440 million years ago, contains deadly asbestos. If disturbed by excavation projects, these microscopic fibers will be released into the air and may cause health problems for local residents. The New York Botanical Garden and Sierra Club have both visited the Serpentine Ridge, discovering rare plant life and recognizing the value of preserving this unique geological area. Along the ridge, there are 2 private lots owned by an automotive union. These lots total 4.5 acres, which, if combined with the Serpentine Art and Nature Commons, would preserve a very rare natural landscape, and which would create a strong asset for the community of Stapleton and other nearby Staten Island neighborhoods. There are a few other privately owned woodland lots along the ridge which must be protected. The steep natural woodland rises 325 feet above sea level. In addition, there's a 6-acre parcel owned by DCAS, the Department of Citywide Administrative Services, which must be preserved as forever wild. This woodland parcel can be protected and preserved at no cost to New York City taxpayers. Close by, there's a 2.6-acre privately owned, pristine, wooded hillside parcel along the ridge to the north of Serpentine Commons, between Homer Street and Ward Avenue, just off of St. Paul's Avenue, and needing protection. And just to the south is a 1.9-acre, privately owned, steeply sloping woodland lot along the ridge at Cedar Cliff Road and Hillside Avenue that must be protected. These lots are all within the Special Hillside Preservation District and are close to the protected Serpentine Art and Nature Commons. Funds to purchase these privately owned woodland lots can be attained through the New York State Environmental Bond Fund. The proximity of poor neighborhoods, overdevelopment, urban heat islands, erosion from flooding as a result of storms, tree preservation, and the protection of wildlife habitat all reinforce the urgency of preserving these unprotected woodland lots along the Serpentine Ridge. Serpentine Ridge is within the jurisdiction of Community Board Number 1, New York City Councilwoman Kamala Hanks of City Council District 49, State Assemblyman Charles Fall of State Assembly District 61, and State Senator Jessica Scarcella Spanton of State Senate District 23.
In conclusion, please contact your elected officials, community boards, civic associations, environmental groups, and join the campaign to protect these treasures before they disappear forever.
The full video can be seen on YouTube, and we hope to show each green space one at a time over our upcoming episodes. We'd like to hear your comments about this, and you can contact us at the Environment TV or the Protectors of Pine Oak Woods, or you can go straight to your local elected officials and tell them about it. I'd like to report about an unexpected environmental friend that we've been involved with more deeply over the last 4 months or so. It's the South Beach Civic Association. We did a video with them last year, and this year concerning Governor Hochul's additional dwelling units boondoggle that she has tried to pass in New York State twice and it's been defeated both times, and probably she will bring it up again next year. The South Beach Civic Association, along with other civic and environmental groups on Staten Island, rallied together to prevent the bill from becoming law. And during those events, we met and became impressed with the people of that group, and they have invited us to a number of their other meetings and events. Their monthly meetings, which fall on the first Wednesday of the month, are quite impressive and comprehensive. And if any of the other civic associations do the same kind of meetings, we at Environment TV would recommend attending as many of them as possible. We say this because of the wide range of topics they present. Not only do they touch on environmental issues, but they cover such issues as neighborhood alerts about crime and its prevention. Let's listen in on an excerpt from one of their meetings.
We're experiencing some issues in this area, the general area, basically Midland Beach, South Beach, Orochar, the area around Clove Road and Highland. And please remember to lock your car doors, secure your properties. They're walking around, they're trying the car doors. There are bigger problems up on Toad Hill, Lighthouse Hill. They're breaking into the houses to try to get keys to cars. It's happening on the South Shore down in Tottenville and Pleasant Plains.
This is only the beginning of their worthwhile in-depthness of issues. We're going to show a few more excerpts to illustrate this comprehensiveness before we show a more detailed environmental presentation from them. Bank fraud.
Identity theft and fraud. Kearney Bank, Sabina.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sabina Puskarzik. I am the branch manager at Kearney Bank on Highland Boulevard.
So a lot of these scam companies will wait for these old numbers to go up to free market, and they'll go, oh, this one spells 1-800, Blockbuster or whatever, and then they'll start making calls from that number. So it's always important that you go.
Meet our police community affairs liaison officer.
Community ambassador for Staten Island for NYPD. I go to most of these meetings throughout Staten Island.
Meet some of our elected officials.
It's good to be back here at South Beach Civic. I'm almost 18 months into my tenure as the new council member for the Mid-Island, having succeeded Steve Matteo.
Meet representatives of our elected officials.
Clarity from Congresswoman Nicole Maliotakis' office on me. Everybody can hear me, right?
Senator Lands will once again be holding his annual Special Needs Resource Fair.
Hello everyone, thank you again for having me. My name is Ian Yonda. I am the Community Affairs Director for State Assemblyman Michael Tanusis.
My name is Makita, and yes, I represent Senator Scarcella Scanton, and I want you
alerts about legislation and its updates.
This is Bill S5479. What it does is it elevates the assault of a retail worker into a Class D felony, which is bail eligible.
Yes.
So
learn about incredible lifestyle.
Thank you for having me. My name is Anne Marie, and this is my service dog, Malfoy. I do not work for Canine Companions. I'm a graduate recipient of the...
Learn about island-wide and neighborhood scientific storm research.
I'm Ricardo Toledo Pro. I'm from the Advanced Science Research Center in Harlem, so I'm from far away. And I am here with my colleagues from...
Meet New York City parks and other officials.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jennifer Miller. I'm a project development coordinator for New York City Parks for the Staten Island Borough office.
Meet non-governmental individuals and groups.
Good evening, everybody. Like Joe had mentioned, my name is Saul. I'm the Director of the Housing Programs at Northfield LDC.
And now a fuller excerpt of the South Beach Civic Association's presentation on some of their ongoing and future Blue Belt environmental projects.
We have the Blue Belt here of Quincy and Sand Lane. We had apparently a Zoom because of the COVID about a year ago, and it was very interesting to know about what's going to be happening there. So we brought them in so that we could finally have more of a input, a picture of seeing what's going to be going on. Welcome, Rob Aliveri and Camille Stewart from DEP. Well, they'll explain to you exactly what's been happening.
Good evening. Thank you for having us tonight. As mentioned before, my name is Robert Olivari. I'm the community coordinator for Staten Island for DEP. Also, I've been a resident of Staten Island all 32 years of my life, still live in West Brighton to this day.
I've worked with numerous elected officials here. I know Dawn from about 5 years now with Nicole Malliotakis' office. I'm getting to know Ms. Spenton's, Senator Spenton's office. I also work with fellow agencies like Parks there in the back, the DA's office. Very briefly, what DEP does, we cover, our main focus is providing clean drinking water to the city of New York, treatment of wastewater from people's properties and residences, and stormwater management. Along with that, we do certain air quality, noise complaints, and things of that nature. For now, I'm going to pass it off to Camille to talk a little bit more about our Blue Belt system and introduce what she does with our agency.
Hi, everyone. My name is Camille Stewart, and as Robert said, I'm with DEP. I'm with the Bureau of Water and Sewer Operations, and my group specifically oversees the planning, design, and construction of Blue Belt projects across the city. As you might know, most of these projects are in Staten Island because of the land opportunities that are available to construct these projects, and specifically with the South Beach Blue Belt. We will be constructing a network of storm sewers and ponds that will allow for stormwater in higher volumes to be captured. So that includes stormwater from rain events, and also in the event of a hurricane, if you have a storm surge, so that would mean coastal water flowing onto land from the ocean, this space would provide a detention area so that the water can go there instead of flooding streets and people's homes. So if you guys have any questions that are more specific to the project, I would be more than happy to answer them. And if there's something I don't know offhand, I would be more than happy to take down a phone number or an email, and I can touch base with the team tomorrow and get back to you as soon as possible. Boundary.
So that's going to be more towards the west.
Oh, okay. So Boundary Avenue, that's part of the New Creek Blue Belt system. That's currently a parks property that is slated to be a Blue Belt. So we're currently we're waiting for construction permits from the state. The project actually should have started already, but it's probably not going to be for another 2 or 3 months until they break ground. Yeah, no problem. So there have been a few lots that we've recently acquired. They're further up north in the watershed. They've been single lots, really, not like big swaths of property. I would say most of the larger property acquisition has already been completed. So after the South Beach area, we're moving over to New Creek. Most of that property has been acquired already by DEP or has been under their jurisdiction for 10 years.
Richmond Terrace area? Or?
Richmond Terrace, I don't
Close
think
to the
so.
shore.
Yeah, no, I don't believe so. If anything does happen there, because I know there's, I guess that's by Snug Harbor, right?
Kind of, yeah.
There's Parks property there with some ponds, and we might be taking advantage of that to deal with flooding issues in the neighborhood.
Maybe Meredith Marsh?
I can speak a little bit about that if you want.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So, post Ida, we initiated a 2 drainage studies. I'm not sure if you're still familiar with what that verbiage means, but basically, it's the blueprint to the blueprint of building a sewer system. People familiar with Snug Harbor and Clover Lakes Park? Okay, so we're looking to turning those into retention ponds as well. As you well know, there's water flows through them. Since Staten Island is a separate sewer system, meaning there's one pipe for sanitary wastewater, which comes out of people's sinks, showers, whatever, and one for stormwater. We're able to use natural waterways such as the Blue Belt system. So since Snug Harbor is there and Clover Lakes is there, and they're already taken certain stormwater already, we're looking to incorporate them more thoroughly into our system and to allow for, better able to combat major storms like Ida, cloudbursts. We're seeing it, the weather's changing. We're seeing storms that were never expected to happen ever in New York City. And these are the first steps to it. It's going to take some time, though. Drainage study can take up to 2 years to complete. And then from there, we have to go to capital planning, getting the money, getting the okay, hiring the contractor through the Department of Design and Construction. So these things will take a while, but we are looking to use natural water bodies like those. I haven't heard about Mariners Harbor. I went there with a gentleman back in 2020 to look at the area. I saw there was some creeks and sort of small tributaries in there, as well as a couple buried cars, which was surprising. So, I mean, something that we can maybe look at in the future, but our main focus right now is the Clove Lakes area, because that will take in pretty much most of the North Shore, from like Port Richmond to like West Brighton and so on, and Westerly, in those areas. My father grew up in Staten Island from 1950. He explained to me how it happened after the Verrazano Bridge went up, how there used to be farmland, airport, all that other stuff here. So back when that went up, there was basically cowboy building, you know, for profit, like you guys were talking about before with this upzoning thing. So yes, a lot of things were built very poorly. A lot of areas were built without forethought of storms and things of that nature. The homes along Midland Avenue that were like, you know, beach homes, shore homes or whatever for temporary vacations turned into permanent homes and things like that, and there was no sewers installed for those people. Thankfully, with our Blue Belt system, it allows us to start installing sewers in areas that never had any sewers, such as this neighborhood and further south. I can't make an excuse for why it was built the way it was. Unfortunately, it was way before my time. But you do have a solid point. We are trying to give the necessary drainage, not just only drainage for storms, but also even sanitary sewer so people can get off septic as well. I've had people on Olympia Boulevard call me up asking about that exact same thing. Thankfully, they're also within the bounds of the projects associated with the New Creek Blue Belt, so we're going to be installing both sanitary and wastewater sewer systems, and also, in some instances, new water mains.
Is it Olympia Boulevard?
Olympia. Any other questions? And then I just have two quick things to mention, and then I'm out. Right? No further questions? All right. So one thing is we have an annual rain barrel giveaway system program. We partner with local elected officials, council members, state senators, assembly members, maybe even Congress members if they'd be interested in it. I know I've done it with the the rain barrel. We did it over at the yeah, we're doing it this year. We didn't do it during the pandemic, unfortunately, because, you know, gathering of crowds, and then the year after that, we kind of passed on it. We did it for the first time in 2 years last year with your local council member, David Carr. So from April to about the end of August is when we hold it. If you're interested in getting a rain barrel, it holds 55 gallons of water. You hook it up to your downspout of your rain gutters. Please contact your local elected officials, and then they'll call me up and we'll organize dates and times and how many rain barrels to bring out to each event. Second thing is rain barrier giveaways as well. These are inflatable barriers that you can put in front of the seam of your door, whether it's your front door, your side door, or your garage door. They come all the way from 12 feet to down to 4 feet in width and length. All you need to do is just hook up a hose to fill it up with water, fit it to the frame of your door, and it's meant to keep overland flooding from seeping into the door frames and getting into people's property. Again, that's also through elected officials. If you're interested in that, reach out to your local, on any level of elected official. And that's it. Then thank you for having us.
Thank you.
The answer to today's question, what is an urban heat island, is concrete cities. All of the cement and concrete in our buildings, sidewalks, streets, highways, and just about everywhere throughout our cities are places which hold, store, and release the energy and heat from the sun over a few hours, which in effect keeps us much hotter in the heat season versus the cooling effect that grasslands, woodlands, and most of the rest of nature give us during those same exact times. An urban cool island is where the very few nature and tree areas, parks, and other green areas exist within the city. And we need many more of these. So that's our report, and we hope that you'll join us for the next one. More, we need to hear from you, the viewers, so please send us an email, contact us, and let us know what's on your environmental mind. Until then, enjoy the nature that we live in and are part of. I'm Charlie Olson for the Environment TV.